Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ryan. Now today, I am starting a new series called Worst Take. In this series, we're going to be looking at some of the worst takes we can find on social media. I think I'm going to start doing this every single Friday, so I hope y'all like it. Let's get into some of this week's worst takes. Starting off, we got Karl Cowherd ranking the top 10 players remaining in the playoffs. This list is really bad. He did this on a show earlier this week. The list is terrible. So at number 1, he's got Kevin Durant. I'm fine with that. Number 2, Kawhi Leonard. I'm fine with that. Number 3, he's got Chris Paul. No. Chris Paul is not the third best remaining player in the playoffs. You still have James Harden, who's better than him. You still have Kyrie Irving, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid. I think all those players are better than him. I think you could argue. I think he has an argument to be ahead of like Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, Devin Booker, but not some of the other guys. The other guys that I've already mentioned, those are elite players in this league. He does not belong ahead of those guys. That's crazy. Number 4, he's got James Harden. I'm fine with that. Number 5, he's got Donovan Mitchell. Now, no, Donovan Mitchell, you can't put him ahead of Kyrie Irving or Nikola Jokic. Both Irving and Jokic just came off great seasons. Jokic won MVP. Kyrie Irving had like a 40-50-90 season, or a 50-40-90 season. He was crazy. You can't put him above them. And why is Donovan Mitchell so much higher than Trae Young and Devin Booker? Like, he's on those guys' level, not Jokic and Kyrie's. Then he's got Embiid at 10. I know Embiid's injured right now, but Embiid just scored like 79 points through 2 games against the Hawks on a torn meniscus. That dude is a stud, a top 10 player in the league, and he's playing like one of the best players in the world right now. He cannot be 10. He's got to be higher. This list is terrible. Next, we got Danny Cannell complaining about class in sports. Danny Cannell is a media member. And earlier this week, he was talking about college softball because that's going on right now. And he was talking about having class on the field. This is what his first tweet says. It says, "Win or lose, I love the way the Noles handle themselves on the field. There's no obnoxious celebrating routine flyouts or staring at the opponents. It's all about team and playing with class." Okay, I get it. It's kind of a boomer take, but I get it. This is what I have a big issue with. There was a second tweet where he was responding to someone. He was responding to Theo Howard, who I believe he plays for Oklahoma. He's a college football player, I believe. He said, "Performance wins games. Class wins respect. Winning with class creates legacy." This is where I have a problem. Winning with class does not create legacy, in my opinion. Let's think of some of the best trash talkers in NBA history. Larry Bird, Michael Jordan. Those players didn't play the game with class. They were some of the, like I said, they were some of the best trash talkers of all time. They were going to whip your butt and they were going to let you know about it. Winning with class does not create legacies. And takes like this, I get why people, people celebrating and getting in other people's faces can rub people the wrong way. But you've got to understand that when you're playing a sport, you're competing. And when you're competing I think it's the college softball World Series, when you're competing at that high of a level, the games are intense. And you're playing for a championship. Things are going to get chippy. You're not just playing in the backyard. You're playing for the championship. Like, this is everything you've worked for all season long. Things are going to get intense. And when you succeed in sports, you should celebrate. And you should, telling the other team, showing them that, you're whipping their butt. I have no problem with that. And other people shouldn't either. Sports are intense. It's going to get chippy, and takes like this, they just show Danny Cannell's age, in my opinion. This is a terrible take. Next up, we got Skip Bayless on Chris Paul's legacy. This is a rough take. I saw this earlier today, and wow, he said, "I'm having a hard time putting Chris Paul in my top 15 point guards all time. I need more in the postseason. It's crucial for his legacy that he finish off the Nuggets, beat the Clippers in the next round, and get to the finals." Now, here, I'll give him credit. Some of Chris Paul's playoff woes, they do hurt his legacy a bit. But to say that he is not a top 15 point guard of all time is ludicrous. This dude is a stud. He has had some incredible regular season performances, along with some really, really good playoff runs. Chris Paul is undeniably a top 10 point guard of all time. I mean, let's look at his basketball reference page. He's an 11-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA member, 9-time All-Defensive Team member, a 6-time Steal champ, 4-time assist champ. He was All-Rookie in 05-06, and he won the 05-06 Rookie of the Year award. And he has 189.5 win shares, which means that he is going to easily be a Hall of Famer at the end of his career. When he retires, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is a top 15 he is a top 10 point guard of all time. He is easily a top 15 point guard of all time. This take is wild. Now, finally, we have Greg Logan saying Andre Drummond was the Defensive Player of the Year last season. Greg Logan is another media member, and on Twitter today, he said, and I'm quoting, so Rudy Gobert was second in rebounds, tied second in blocked shots, was not in top 5 in steals, but he won Defensive Player of the Year this season. Last season, Andre Drummond was first in rebounding, 9th in blocked shots, and 3rd in steals, but I was criticized for voting him Defensive Player of the Year. And yeah, because this is not how you measure defense. You cannot measure defense using total rebounds. I mean, total rebounds, that includes offensive rebounds. That has nothing to do with defense. And then you can't just use block shots and steals. Defense is one of the hardest things to measure with numbers in basketball. It can be done, but if you're going to use numbers, you got to use impact metrics and steal rates and block rates and defensive rebound rates. You can't just use steals, blocks, and total rebounds. That's just not how you measure defense in the NBA. And this guy apparently has worked in basketball, or has covered basketball for 48 years, and this is how he's measuring defense? That's crazy. He follows that up with another tweet that says, well, I can say an NBA assistant who has been a head coach agreed with me that Drummond was legit Defensive Player of the Year contender last season. Every one of my critics is an amateur who never has talked to an NBA head coach. Now, okay, I will give him credit. Andre Drummond was a positive defender last year. There are metrics that back that up. However, he was not a legitimate Defensive Player of the Year contender, in my opinion at least. I think the numbers would agree with me. And he likes to use numbers because he used numbers in his original tweet. So when you look at more advanced metrics, no, you cannot say that Drummond was the Defensive Player of the Year last year. And just because an NBA assistant says that he was, doesn't mean that's gospel. Now, I respect NBA head coaches, and their opinion has more weight or carries more weight than mine does. But just because they have worked in the NBA doesn't mean that their opinion is gospel. Here's where things get really bad for Greg Logan. A man named Sam Vecenie, he has the Game Theory podcast, does a lot of great work covering basketball. Check him out. Check out the Game Theory podcast. This dude is a stud. Sam tweeted about this, saying that basically what Greg Logan was saying was ludicrous, and the stats he used are just, you can't use those to measure defense. Well, Greg Logan apparently DM'd him. I'm going to put his DM up on the screen. I'm not going to read it. It's long. You can pause the video, read it for yourself. But he basically goes after Sam, attacks him for basically questioning the argument that Andre Drummond was a Defensive Player of the Year caliber player last season. He says some really terrible things, and just attack Sam verbally. Not cool, dude. Greg Logan, this is just wild. The take's crazy, and then you attacking Sam Vecenie. That's uncalled for. You need to get off your high horse. Stop taking yourself so seriously. I don't care that you've won awards for your writing, and I don't care that you've been covering basketball for 48 years. That doesn't give you the right to be a jerk on social media. Come on, dude. Grow up. Alright, that's all I have for y'all today on this week's episode of First Take. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I'm going to be coming out with another one of these next Friday, so be sure to check that one out when it comes out. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I'll see y'all next time. God bless.